Good morning, everybody. That was a very kind introduction, John. Thank you so much. I don't know if I've ever had quite that level of introduction before. I am very pleased to be here in Ohio. One of the things I am pushing for as chair of the foundation is more collaborative efforts among the employee ownership organizations that promote employee ownership. The center is one of the prominent organizations in the United States promoting employee ownership. I did want to mention because I'm from California, and by the way, that is why the weather's so great. I brought it with me, and I did. I brought the earthquake with me, but I left it in Illinois. I do have some association with Ohio through NCV. There's a savings bank in Hillsboro, Ohio. Everyone know where Hillsboro is? It took me a while to find it, too. And I found that I learned a lot about Ohio's landscape by going to Hillsboro because it's equidistant to the airports of Cincinnati, Columbus, and Dayton. So depending on what the airfare was, I flew into any one of those three and flew into Hillsboro and had a delightful time in Hillsboro, a really nice group of people. So let me get into my presentation here. We are here for employee ownership, jobs, innovation, and the global economy. The foundation is an affiliate of the ESOP Association. Its mission is to promote employee ownership. Nice, simple, direct, focused mission. Our core cause is the belief that employee ownership improves American competitiveness, that it increases productivity through greater employee participation, and that it strengthens our free enterprise economy. We've done some surveying on how well are ESOPs doing. And John reported some very powerful numbers in the state of Ohio, and these numbers are borne out through the national statistics as well. The NCEO, the National Center for Employee Ownership, recently published their 2008 update on the status of ESOPs. And that report indicated that in 2007 there were 11.2 million participants in ESOP plans. That compares to 10.5 million last year and 7,750,000 back in 1995. There's been significant growth in the number of plan participants in ESOP plans. Our assets in ESOP plans has also grown, and this is an even more remarkable statistic. In 1995, there was about $250 million in ESOP plan assets. Last year, there were $675 billion, last year meaning 2006. And in the current statistic for 2007, there's $928 billion of assets. We're approaching $1 trillion in assets in ESOP plans. And the number of plans have also grown from 8,000 in 1995 to approaching 10,000 today at 9,774. So ESOPs clearly are growing. They're growing successfully, as John's statistics point out. If Ohio had only had a group of employee-owned companies instead of employee-owned companies and others, it would be a highly successful state economically, and all that movement to the Far East and California, too, I understand, would disappear. We've also done some surveying of our own membership of the ESOP Association. We do this each year. It's sponsored by the foundation, and it has some interesting results as well. It found that 89% of those surveyed stated that creating an ESOP was a good business decision and that it had helped their company. 72% of those folks indicated that it had improved the performance of the company. 82% said that revenue had increased from the prior year. 72% reported that profitability had increased since the prior year. And 68% reported that ESOPs improved the overall productivity of their companies. It also pointed out an interesting statistic on participation, that 47% of these companies created an employee participation program after becoming an ESOP. Maybe there's a correlation. There's a couple of studies I wanted to point out that also verify the performance of ESOPs. A renowned study that was conducted for the period of 1987 to 1997 was done by Dr. Blasi and Cruz of Rutgers University. And these professors paired up ESOP companies with their non-ESOP counterparts. They looked at markets, they looked at size of company. The only differentiating factor was whether it was an ESOP company or not. And they followed the results of those companies and again found some pretty astounding results. The first of which is that the ESOP companies increased sales, employment, and sales per employee by 2.3 to 2.4% per year over what would have been anticipated had they not had an ESOP. Now, if you take 2.2, 2.3%, doesn't sound like a lot, does it? But if you take that over a decade, you're approaching a 30% differential between the ESOP company and its non-ESOP counterpart. 78% of the ESOP companies stayed in business during that decade, as compared to 62% of their counterparts. So the longevity of ESOPs also is there, that it improves the longevity of the businesses. And that ESOP companies tend to remain independent. They tend not only to exist, but they exist as their own company, rather than being absorbed into a larger firm or acquired in some other way. And a very interesting side note is that the ESOP companies were more likely to have other retirement plans such as 401ks and profit-sharing plans oriented toward retirement. There's also a survey that's renowned that came out of the state of Washington. And there they surveyed ESOP companies and compared them again with some of the non-ESOP companies in the state of Washington and found that the ESOP companies paid better benefits and that they had twice the retirement income for employees. There are numerous other studies that we don't have time to go into. But one of the things that's happened is the discovery that we have a tool that really works. Employee ownership works, and you folks are the testimony that it works. The state of Ohio's statistics on performance indicates employee ownership works. But we're not penetrating the U.S. We're kind of on the fringes academically. We're on the fringes from the standpoint of professionals engaging with employee ownership being the preferred method of ownership. Well, a professor at the University of Pennsylvania got interested in employee ownership. Don't know why. He had no involvement in employee ownership before he did this study. But he did extensive research of the past 30 years of employee ownership. The effects of ESOP adoption and employee ownership, 30 years of research and experience by Dr. Freeman. And what he found was, first of all, he confirmed that employee ownership, in fact, increases productivity, profitability, and longevity. And we all know that. Employee ownership combined with participation produced even greater results. And I think those who have a participative management style probably have seen the benefits of that. But what he also found was that there was a horrendous knowledge gap. The knowledge gap was that among the knowledge gaps is that there's little known about how employee ownership firms are managed. There's few projects that even attempt to justify the societal claims that we make, that there's social justice in what we do. There's concerns and skepticism among the economists, managers, financiers, that need to be directly addressed, and quite frankly, we have not done a good job addressing their concerns. There are problems with employee ownership companies that we don't really have a lot of studies on how we've addressed that and how successful we've done in addressing those problems. And thus, the employee ownership remains on the fringe of the social consciousness and the academic literature. We're going to try to change that at the Foundation, working with others that are involved in employee ownership. And it's going to start with a roundtable at the University of Pennsylvania next month. And we're going to explore with academic folks and with professional folks and with company folks how we can advance employee ownership in our country. So now, what are ESOPs? What can they do and what can't they do? And this is a little CPI experience coming forward, but it's also some things for people who are contemplating ESOPs to think about. First is that it's not going to fix your company's problems. If your problems are systemic, if you have a bad market, if you are having trouble finding new markets and new products, if your CEO just isn't providing leadership, there's no vision for the company, or if you just have a bad culture, whatever that might be defined to be, I don't think your ESOP is going to fix that. But what ESOPs can do is it can support a participatory culture. If that's what your company is about, the ESOP brings you alignment between the employees and the shareholders. Those interests, it becomes magical how the success of the company becomes the success of every employee owner. It can create a greater employee involvement and commitment because you have a greater stake in the company. And it can enable the company to outperform its competitors, as the survey results certainly showed. And you do that through increasing productivity, increasing operational effectiveness, by being creative in every part of your business. The accounting department can be creative. The research department can be creative. And it's amazing when people have an interest in thinking about how they can do things better, that magic occurs. You can also have people really sense the importance of customer service, because the customer is who provides the bread and butter that makes ESOP companies successful. And so employees will have a stake in making sure that every customer is not just satisfied, but we used to call it being delighted. And that all results in a long-term financial success for an ESOP company. What you need in an ESOP company, again, my own thoughts, is you need a visionary CEO who is passionate about employee ownership, somebody who walks the talk, who has employee ownership and the sharing that comes with employee ownership as a part of their fabric. They need to build employee trust. It's something that's earned, not bestowed on anybody. When you have employee trust, employees will do anything for the company to make that company successful. The CEO needs a challenging board, a board that hopefully will contain some outsiders, people that he or she sees infrequently, but bring fresh challenges to the company and to the CEO specifically. A team that the entire employee ownership group of the company becomes a team, and that team supports the vision, the mission, and the core values of the company. And that along with that, you have a team of professional advisors. Yes, the attorneys, the accountants, the valuation firm, the ESOP plan administrators, and so forth. Those folks keep you on the straight and narrow. They make what is a possibility a reality. And so choose your advisors wisely. They need to be committed to the company and to employee ownership. So what has happened in Ohio? Ohio has some wonderful success stories. These are 9 names of companies that are our Silver Award winners at the ESOP Association, companies who have been in ESOPs, have had an ESOP for 25 years or more. So that's your wonderful success stories, and you can contact these folks because they have some magic on what it takes to be a sustained ESOP company, how to be there for the long term. There are also some very large employee-owned companies in Ohio. Procter & Gamble, Sherwin-Williams, to name a couple, who have also demonstrated the long-term sustained value of employee ownership. Let me close by reading, if you'll bear with me, the vision statement of the ESOP Association and the Employee Ownership Foundation. We have a common vision. This vision was developed by Charles Edmondson and Richard Duffy, and then blessed by folks that were corporate members of the chapter council of the association. And this is what moved me when I first got exposed to the association. We believe that employee ownership improves American competitiveness, that it increases productivity through greater employee participation in the workplace, that it strengthens our free enterprise economy and creates a broader distribution of wealth, and that it maximizes human potential by enhancing the self-worth, dignity, and well-being of our people. Therefore, we envision an America where employee ownership is widely recognized as a catalyst for economic prosperity, where the great majority of employees own stock in the companies where they work, and where employee ownership enables employees to share in the wealth they help create. And we look for our nation to become, for the world, an example of prosperity with justice through employee ownership. Thank you very much.